Ready.
Nazir
Hey,
is iron.
hey, Zion. Hey, Zion. If you saw a kohen and said, I'm a Nazir that this is a wild animal, I'm a Nazir that this is not a wild animal, I'm a Nazir that this is a domestic animal, I'm a Nazir that this is not a domestic animal, I'm a Nazir that this is both a wild and a domestic animal, um, uh, I am a Nazir that this is neither a wild animal nor a domestic animal. I am a Nazir that one of you is a Nazir. I am a Nazir that one of you is not a Nazir. I am a Nazir that all of you are Nazirim. All of them are Nazirim. These three matters are forbidden to a Nazir: Tuma, head shaving, and products of the grapevine. All products of the grapevine may be combined with one another, and he is not liable on leaf and olives, both of grapes, according to the earlier Mishnah, until he drinks a revius of wine. Rabbi Akiva says, even if he soaked his bread in wine, and there was enough to be able to an olive's bulk, he is liable. He is liable for wine itself, by itself, for grapes by themselves, for grape seeds by themselves, for grape skins by themselves. Rabbi Elazar ben Aryeh says he is not liable until he eats two grape seeds and their grape skin, which are kartzayim, and which are zagayim. The zagayim are the cattle part, the zagayim are the inner part. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. The Rosh of Yoshi says, in order that you not err, it is like the zug bell of an animal. The outer part is called the zug, and the inner part is called the imbal. Okay.
Okay. Stam Naziris Shloshim Yom. As we've learned before, if when somebody just says I'm a Nazir, it's effective for 30 days. Okay. Gilach or shegilchuhu listim. Now, what happens if he either voluntarily or involuntarily got shaved? Okay, whether so when we say the gilchu listim, it doesn't actually matter. If he did it deliberately himself, then he's also chayav for lashes because he's not allowed to do it. But if people held him down and cut his hair, he's got to allow another 30 days of growth. So if he had like a 100-day Naziris, it's not the worst thing. He doesn't have to go back to the beginning of the 100. He just has to make sure he has a minimum of 30 days growth on his head. Okay. Nazir shigilach bein bezug, bein betar, or shesif seif kol shehu chayav. So if he deliberately shaved his hair, whether it was with scissors or with a razor, or even if he just plucked his hairs out by hand, he is chayav for doing that. So, and that shows that even like one hair is he's chayav for it. Nazir chofef u'mefaspes aval lo sorek. He's allowed to wash his hair and mefaspes. It's scratch his hair with his head because there it's not a given that he's going to pull out hair by doing so. It's possible to be careful and not pull out hair. However, um, using a comb inevitably pulls out hair. So therefore, the Nazir is not allowed to use a comb. Rabbi Yishmael Omer lo yachof ba'adama mipnei shemashe es hase'ar. And Rabbi Yishmael adds that doing uh, there's apparently the standard way of washing hair was with earth. So different formulas and people had over the years, I guess. Anyway, there was excuse me, that was the recommended path for to wash your hair for in those times. I guess they didn't have the range of shampoos and conditioners that we have now, and you shouldn't do that because it causes his hair to fall out. Daled Nazir shehaya shose yain kol hayom. So he has a Nazir who decides that he's had enough and he's going to violate his Naziris, and he says, "I'm drinking wine. I don't care." And witnesses come and tell him, you're going to be chayav for lashes if you do this. Eino chayav ela achas. He's only chayav one time if he's warned once. However, amru lo al tishteh al tishteh. They warn him, don't drink because you're going to be chayav lashes, and he drank. And then they told him, don't drink again. You're going to be chayav a second set of lashes, and he drank and drank again. Uh, Chayav al kol achas v'achas. That makes him liable every single time he drinks.
Mhm.
Okay. Same thing goes for shaving. Hayam megalech kol hayom. He's cutting his hair all day. Eino chayav ela achas. He's only chayav for one act because he was only warned once. Amru lo al tegalach, al tegalach. Don't shave, don't shave. Hu megalech chayav al kol achas ve'achas. Every time they warn him, he becomes chayav again. Okay, and haya mitame lemesim. Even for becoming tame to the dead, um, once you become tame, you are tame.
Right.
But adding tumah to your tumah, you're not even though you're not adding tumah to the tumah really, but you're putting yourself into that place of tumah.
Right.
That is the act that he gets punished for. Eino chayav ela achas, if he was being tameh, amru lo alti tameh, don't become tameh, don't become tameh, v'hu tameh. Chayav al kol achas v'achas. Every time he makes himself tameh again, he becomes chayav for that, even if he never became tahor in between. Yeah. We repeat what we said at the beginning of the first Mishnah of this parak. Shlosha minim asarim Nazir, hatoma v'tiglachas v'yotzim min hagefen. Just to remind you what are the three things that he is chayav for. But now we're going to be comparing the different isurim and what are their kulas and chumras. Chomer batuma mi'u batiglachas mi v'yotzim min hagefen. There is a stringency that applies to tuma and to hair cutting that does not apply to drinking wine. That if he becomes tame or if he has his hair cut, that can reset his clock. In the case of tuma to the beginning of his nazirus, and in the case of a tiglachat to 30 days. Okay. But drinking wine, I mean, the Torah does not prohibit him from does not prevent him from completing his nazirus. It doesn't reset the clock. Midoraisa. By the way, Dorabanan, Chazal put a knas on him for drinking and said that the days that he drank on, he has to add to the end of his term. Okay. V'hayotze min hagefen eino soser chomer v'yotze min hagefen but mi betumim b'tiglachas. So, but there's a stringency in the other direction that wine is stronger than tuma and hair cutting. Sheyotze min hagefen lo hotam miklalo. That there's never any circumstance under which it's permitted for a nazir to drink wine. But there are circumstances when a nazir is allowed to become tameh. Is allowed to become tameh, and there's also a circumstance where he's allowed to cut his hair. How so? B'tiglachas mitzvah, over mace mitzvah. So when it comes to a mitzvah, now what is the case, which is not spelled out over here in the Mishnah, but a tiglachas mitzvah is where he has a chiyuv to cut his hair, and that would be if he became a mitzorah. So he's a nazir, and then while he's being a nazir, he takes a look and sees he's got a big patch of white on his skin, and he checks it out of the coin, and the coin says, "Yep, that's a you're a mitzorah." So he's confirmed, and he has to go outside the camp and go through this whole thing, and then the thing goes away. Well, and at the end of his period of being a Metzora, what does he have to do? He has to shave his whole body, including his hair, right? All of his hair. So now he has that is a tiglachas mitzvah. He's forced to do it, and that will perforce reset his nazirus, of course, because he's got to have at least 30 days of growth. But nonetheless, not only is it mutter for him to do it, it's a chiyuv for him to do it. Also, with a mace mitzvah, if a nazir is walking along the country road by himself, and he looks and he sees that there's a dead body over there, and this person needs to be buried, what's he going to do? Is he going to go back to town and say, "Listen, I saw this dead body on the side of the road. Somebody who can bury him." No, you don't do that. If it's a mace mitzvah, you've got to do it. He has the chi of himself to bury himself and drop everything else that he's doing. And even though he's a nazir and is prohibited from becoming tameh, mace mitzvah is matir him. Chomer b'tuma mi b'tiglachas. So even between tuma and tiglachas, there's a stringency that tuma soseres is a call when a nazir becomes tameh, it resets his entire nazirus. Even if it's a 7-year thing like Queen Hilni, he has to go back to the beginning of the 7 years. Okay, v'chayvin aleha korban, and furthermore, becoming tameh makes him chayav to bring a korban. ותגלחס אין הסוסרס אלא 30 יום ואין החייבס אלא וחייבין עליה קורban. So but if he cuts his hair, it does reset his clock, but only by 30 days. So if he's in the middle of a 7-year Nazirus and it's like he's still got 3 years to go, and he takes a haircut, no, he just so he'll just carry on counting because by the time he gets to the end, it's for sure more than 30 days left. He hasn't actually lost anything. Um, okay, and he also doesn't have to bring a korban for doing it. All right.
Hmm. Um, Let me just put this.
Base Yud.
Let me put this over here. Okay. Base Yud. Hey. If he says, I'm a Nazir when a son will be born to me, and I'm a Nazir for 100 days, and a son was born to him, if he before 70 days he loses nothing, if after 70 days he discounts 70. If there is no head shaving for less than 30 days. Someone who said, I'm a Nazir, shaves his head on the 31st day, but if he shaved on the 30th day, he discharges his obligation. If he said, I'm a Nazir for 30 days, if he slaved on the 30th day, he has not discharged his obligation. Someone who declared 2 terms of Nazirus saved for the first day on day 31, and on the second day 61, and on the saved for the first on the first day 30, he saved for the second on day 60. And if he saved on day 60 minus 1, he has discharged his obligation. Okay. The Dharm. Um, okay, Gimel Zion. One who makes a net of prohibiting those who see the sun is forbidden to benefit from even the blind, for he refers only to those visible to the sun. One who makes a net of prohibiting dark-headed people is forbidden to benefit from bald people and hoary-eyed people. If he permitted to benefit from women and children, since only adult men are called black-headed, dark-headed. One who makes a net of prohibiting that the Yolodim is permitted to benefit from those to be born. If the Noladim is forbidden to benefit from that have already been born. But may permits benefit even of those already born. The sages, however, say that the person refers only to that which is man's offspring.
One more. You started one early, so.
One who makes a net of prohibiting those who rest on Shabbos is forbidden to benefit from Jews and forbidden to benefit from Kuthians. With those who eat garlic, he is forbidden to benefit from Jews and forbidden to benefit from Kuthians. The pilgrims to Jerusalem, he is forbidden to benefit from Jews, but permitted to benefit from Kuthians. Kagiga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Aleph. Base Aleph. We may expand neither on the subject of illicit relationships to a group of 3, nor on account of the creation to a group of 2, nor on account of the makava to the individual, unless he is wise and understanding through his own knowledge. Whoever speculates on 4 things, it would be better for him if he had not come into the world. What is above, what is below, what was before, and what is after. Similarly, one who has no regard for the honor of his maker, it would be better for him if he had not come into the world. Yossi ben Yosef says not to lean the hands on the head of a sacrificial animal on Yom Tov. Yochanan ben Yosef ben Yochanan says to lean. Yeshua ben Parakia said not to lean. Mittel the Arbalite says to lean. Yehuda the Tabai says not to lean. Shimon ben Shatak says to lean. Shemaiah says to lean. Abatan says not to lean. Hillel Menachem did not agree. Menachem left the office. Shaman entered, and Shammai says not to lean. Hillel says to lean. The former of the respective pairs were Nisim, and the latter were heads of the Beis Din. Bet Shammai say we may bring Shlomin on Yom Tov without leaning on them, but we not bring Olios. Beis Hillel says we may bring both Shalom and Olios, and we may lean on them. Okay. We have Gimel Dalit. A dish cooked with shells of orla must be burnt, but if it became mixed up with others, it becomes void in 1/200. If an oven was heated with shells of orla and bread was baked in it, the bread must be burnt. If it became mixed up with others, it becomes void 1 in 200. If one has bundles of fenugreek of kilai akayim, they must be burnt. If they became mixed up with others, they must be burnt So Red says Rebbeim. When they come and say they become voided in 200. Nice. And para. Okay, Gimel Vav. They would make no, that's wrong.
Zion.
Uh, Zion. Gimel Zion. If the para did not want to leave, we do not take back a black cow along with it, so that people should not say he slaughtered the black cow, not a red cow, so that people should not say they slaughtered two paras and dumas. And Rav Yossi says if it was not because of this reason, rather because it is stated he shall take it, and he shall take it if out, which means it alone. And the elders of Israel would receive the delegation by foot to the Mount of Oil, and there was an emergent room there. They would rend the Tameh the Kohen who was to burn the Torah on account of the seducers, and then there was not say that the Paraduma service was performed by those who experienced sunset. They would place their hands on him and say to him, "My master Kohen Gadol," immerse once. He would descend into the mikveh and immerse, come up and dry himself. And there were logs arranged there, either of cedar wood, laurel wood, or boxwood, or smooth fig wood. And they would make it into a sort of tower, and they would open windows, and the face was westward. They would bind the paraduma with a rope of rush and place it on top of the prior, with his head toward the south and the face toward the west. The Kohen would stand to the east with his face to the west, and he would slaughter the paraduma with his right hand and receive his blood in his left hand. Rabbi Yehuda says he would remove the blood, receive the blood in his right hand, and put it in his left hand and sprinkle it with his right hand. He would dip his finger into the blood and sprinkle blood 7 times in the direction of the Holy of Holies. For every sprinkling, there would be a dipping. When he would finish sprinkling, he would wipe his hand on the body of the paraduma. He would descend from the pyre and kindle the fire with twigs. Rabbi Akiva said with palm fronds. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. We are on to welcome. Okay, this is the Gimel Hay. If one slaughters consecrated animals with the intent to eat its fetus or afterbirth outside, he is not rendered it pigul. If one performs malika on turtle doves within the courtyard in order to eat the eggs outside, he is not rendered pigul. The milk of consecrated animals and the eggs of turtle doves, one is not liable in regard to them for pigul, no sir or tome. If he slaughtered it with the intent to leave its blood or its sacrificial parts until the next day, or take them outside the courtyard, Rabbi Yehuda invalidates the offering when the sages validated. If he slaughtered with the intent to apply it to the ramp or jut opposite the altar base, or not apply that which should be applied to the lower part of the altar above, or apply to that which should be applied to the upper part of the altar below, for to apply that which was to be applied within the sanctuary on the outside, or that which should be applied outside the sanctuary within it, so that people who are tamei should eat it, so that people who are tamei should offer it up on the altar. And so the uncircumcised person should eat it, and so the uncircumcised person should offer it up to break the bones of the place of offering, and or to eat one and a half raw, or to mix blood with blood that is disqualified. It is valid, for intent does not invalidate except for the intent to consume beyond its time and outside its area. And the intention to slaughter the Pesach and Katas offerings are a designation other than their own. And Beit Shammai says all offerings whose blood is applied to the outer altar, if he made just one application, is affected stone atonement. But with the Katas offering, 2 applications. That Beis Hillel says even with the Katas offering, and if he made just one application, he has affected atonement. Therefore, if one applied the first one beyond its time, he has affected atonement. If he applied the first one with intent to beyond its time, and the second one with intent for outside, it is pigul, and one is robbed the current. Okay.
Okay. We're done.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. I will see you maybe tomorrow. Okay. Hey, thank you.